Welcome, ladies, to the Post for Change X Spotlight Initiative with her talks on End Colorism. I'm Diipa Koshla, the founder of Post for Change, and I'm also an influencer and entrepreneur. Post for Change was created about 2 years ago, and its main focus is to support UN's SDG 5 of gender inequality by taking and raising awareness about mental health, sexual health, and equality for women. Joining us today, we have firstly Sima Hari. Sima Hari is a non-binary engineer, model, and activist who has been actively vocal against colorism and casteism. She runs the engineering team of Snapchat by day and fights for equality by night.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be here. And I know Varshita as well, and we've been speaking about this for a while now. So I'm happy to be here with all of you.
Amazing. And then next up, indeed, we have Varshita. Varshita is a 27-year-old model who is, of course, the muse of the designer in India, Sabyasachi. And she has constantly been pushing boundaries in the industry and inspiring women who feel underrepresented and empowering them to feel secure in their bodies and their skin color. And I'm so proud to welcome you here today, Varshita.
Thank you so much for having me, Deepa. It's an honor.
You guys, what does colorism mean to you?
Yeah, colorism to me, put simply, is just the discrimination faced by dark-skinned people. I think that's the simplest way I have found to explain it to people. And I think finding that word was also like a really important word in my journey to fighting colorism in my own life and then fighting it on a bigger stage.
Having personally dealt with it, I feel that colorism is basically the obsession that a lot of people have towards fair-skinned people. And I've had to face colorism throughout my life because I grew up in the north of India.
That's the thing with colorism. Well, it's a very multifaceted problem. Like it's a chicken and egg. Is it that the brands are creating that? And so let's blame the brands, or is it us, the people that want that?
Who are buying these products.
So the brand creates more of these products. You know what I mean? If we look at a market like India, and if we go to the beauty counters there, at least 60% of the products say something to do with whitening. And they wouldn't do that if the consumers didn't want it. So it's really like, where's the root cause of the problem and how can we solve it? And I think my answer is both ways. Like we got to change the minds of the young generation, and brands need to stop, being part of this very toxic kind of mindset and mental health issues that you're giving young girls by creating more of this. So
I think it's on all ends. I think there's more than two sides to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're absolutely right there. We need to change people's minds. I think that's the revolution that we need to see. But at the same time, there are brands out there with billions of dollars at their disposal who are regurgitating the message over and over again with the help of superstars and people who have a lot of influence. If that doesn't stop, the mindset is not going to stop. The trauma is going to keep repeating itself, and it's going to take a long time to like erase it from history.
All dark-skinned women do not look the same. We come in infinite hues and we're all beautiful, and we all must embrace the color that we're born in. The best place to start is to create awareness amongst families, train their children to subconsciously feel confident in their skins and in their skin, in the skin tones and in their bodies, so that, as they grow up, their childhood is not taken away from them. Because the same thing that Seema said happened with me. Now when I look back, a lot of my classmates still write to me and they tell me about how much they love my photos with Sabyasachi or in Sabyasachi. But these are the same girls who bullied me at one point in their life, and I cannot blame them because that was their understanding at that point.
I think you hit the nail on the head on every point. I think whether it's that it starts in families, there's of course Bollywood, which we're discussing today. A big chunk of it is the way Bollywood has instilled that obsession within us by the entire country and all the different palettes of colors we have. Why are the majority of Bollywood actors and actresses light-skinned? That's A. And then B, within Bollywood, the kind of messaging they put through movies, through songs of our entire childhood, where it's constantly about, the lighter skin tone girl gets the guy. The lighter skin tone girl is the one that the guy wants. A lighter skin tone girl performs better in life. She is the protagonist in the movie. Like, why is that constant obsession, even in like a subliminal level, where they keep on pushing that messaging? This movie was meant to be a critique on colorism, but they actually used an actress who's fair skinned and then put her in a brown face. And so I'm baffled, like completely on that. Like there's no dearth of dark-skinned women that we could have easily have found to
Talented
be an
women. There are
actress.
so many dark skinned talented women
100%
actors.
talented, gorgeous, like they would fit the role perfectly. So, a like I just don't understand how could they have got it so wrong, and how could this poster or like the choice of actors have gone through every single department in the production house and still nobody stood up and said anything, you know? But I want to hear you guys' thoughts on this, and what did you think when you first saw this?
So I was obviously quite enraged by it, and I had to sit with it for a while. I couldn't believe, like you said, I couldn't believe that they cast a light skinned actress and painted her dark skinned. And even in that situation, she's not that dark skinned. You know, she's
Mhm.
a couple of shades darker, because I
Mhm.
think I haven't watched the movie, and I couldn't bring myself to watch the movie based on the poster and the trailer and the kind of like snippets of the dialogue that you see on social media. But I knew that there was something had to do with it, where she's gonna accept her skin tone or whatever. But what skin tone are you telling people to accept, which is like Bhumi Pednekar's slightly darker skin tone, right?
Mhm.
And for me, I said this on my Instagram profile too when I was discussing this movie, is that when you cast light skinned actors to play dark skinned characters, that even further exacerbates the problem, which is
Totally.
you're telling dark skinned people that not only are never, there's going to be never any representation for you, not only is there no characters written for you, but even when the characters are written, we're going to cast these light skinned people and paint them darker, just to show you that dark skinned people are not valid at all, right? That
Mhm.
means that even to play dark skinned characters, you don't think dark skinned people are valid, you don't think dark skinned people are talented. There are a spectrum and like a wide variety of actors available. There are so many people you can give a chance to, and we have been historically kept from these chances, right? Pinpointed casteism, and we made some laws around it, but we never spoke. Like, people have the colorism, the conversation is like just starting in the last 5 years. When you make films like this, you really have the opportunity to
Mhm.
create discussion around colorism, to
Mhm.
create proper representation for dark skinned people, to create a good story, because you're doing it from scratch, right? You
Mhm.
have the power to create every little dialogue and every little story that happens to this character, and
Yeah.
everything that happens to this character has the power to transform somebody's mind. And you
Yeah.
still pick the wrong thing. That's what hurts me. If they even had like one dark skinned person, acting, of course it has to be a dark skinned person, but even in the writing rooms,
Yeah.
even the the lighting technician,
Absolutely.
a director, like
Yeah.
if they were dark skinned, they would know that this is not the right thing to do.
I remember knocking on doors of producers and directors. Only one thing, they would always ask me to come back fairer and thinner. I understand that there is this socially constructed notion in India that fair-skinned and thin women are more attractive than the others, and I knew that I had to break these stereotypes. What I essentially did not understand is that there was absolutely no representation of dark-skinned actresses in South Indian films. And you turn around and look at all South Indian women, and we come in infinite, beautiful, dark-skinned hues, and yet there was no representation to an effect that I remember once even saying it on Barkha's show, We the Women. I said, I was going to all these people for work, and they told me that, I was too dark skinned or too South Indian to be in a South Indian film. So
That's
that was shocking. And talking about Bala, I know of so many beautiful, talented, dark-skinned women. So when you have movies like this, especially I've seen quite often that Bollywood perpetuates the notion that dark-skinned women or dark-skinned actresses are not worthy to play these dark-skinned characters, which is why they always have these fair-skinned people playing these characters, which goes to show that they think that we're not worthy and that we're invalid, but we're not. We are completely worthy of playing these characters with complete honesty and panache and efficiency, as you may, and accuracy, as you may call it, because we are of a certain skin tone and we can give the representation that Bollywood or even Tollywood or even Collywood needs. And yeah, so when you have movies like Bala, or when you have other movies where fair skinned women are playing these dark characters, it basically just marginalizes dark skinned women like me. Might as well cast women of my complexion, because that's exactly what other women would relate to. So I think it's I just don't get it. I just don't understand the business dynamics either.
Do you think there's enough awareness about colorism and why it's harmful out there? And why do you think there's a resistance to do more about it?
Yeah, I don't think there's enough talk about the violence and the harm that it actually causes, which is why, I don't want to talk about my trauma all the time. I rather much forget about it and go on with my life, and like, talk about the joy that I live my life with right now. But I do have to bring it up because nobody is talking about it. Nobody's talking about how damaging it is for a small, child to go through this on a daily basis. And like, my earliest memories of my childhood are of being just bullied, like, and there so much of it was trauma that I had to wipe it out, and I was in denial. So I had to, like, the only way I could survive was if I forgot those memories of being traumatized as a child,
Mm.
in school and outside and even within the families, right? And that's one of the most important things about colorism, is that it's a very isolating experience, because the people who are supposed to support you and the people who are supposed to create a good environment for you, even against the world, right? The world could be against you, but when you come back home, you expect an environment of safety. And if it's not your home, if it's your peers and your, childhood friends who create an environment for safety for you. But with colorism, even that is taken away from you, because your family and your group of friends could also be affected by the same set of,
Part
prejudices
of
that
this.
perpetuate colorism.
Mhm.
So you really have nowhere to go to, unless, like, unless I found my first dark skinned friend. And like, the first time a light skinned friend actually stood up to bullies for me, that was already ninth standard. Like, I was already in ninth grade by then. And
Mhm.
until then, I had never stood up to my bullies. I had never even thought that was a possibility, to like say something to the people who are saying really bad things to me.
You spoke about, like your childhood was extremely traumatic, but now you love your life and you love yourself.
Yeah.
What was that change? What created that change?
I think the first change was actually, like I said, finding this word that, that my experience that I had was a valid experience, and that it was discrimination, which means that it was unfounded, something bad. And then I looked up the UN Charter of Rights, right? The UN Bill of Human Rights. And I looked it up, and I saw that, there's discrimination based on color is also against human rights. So realizing that whatever I had experienced for so long is actually a thing, and it was wrong, and that I was on the right, and I had to suffer so much because of no fault of mine. Because all of this time it was portrayed as like, it's your fault that you're dark skinned, you need to do something about it. Like,
Mhm.
why don't you apply the skin lightening creams that are so easily available? Why doesn't your mom take you to a dermatologist and get you one of those chemical lightening skin lightening peels? Like, it was always about, like, do something about it, like it's your fault. So
Mhm.
when I realized that it was not my fault, and it
Mhm.
was just a societal problem and a perception that needed to change, that was the most empowering thing for me after
Really
that.
powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of
Varshita,
course.
I mean, I want to, of course, ask you the same thing. Seema said, what was your journey like to self love and self acceptance, like through everything you went through in your childhood?
But I have to be very honest with you that I always have my good and bad days. Like even today, I'm constantly judged and asked by a lot of people if I'm using a victim card, or if I'm using this whole fact that I'm plus size and that I'm dusky as a business model. I'm not. And I have to be honest with you, like Seema just pointed out, it was very traumatic experience for me growing up, because in fact sometimes I wake up thinking, oh my god, there was a time that I was actually nicknamed Kali. I used to play with my neighbors' kids. I used to go to school, and wherever I went, I was nicknamed as Kali. If they didn't know my name, they would just say, "आ गई और काली है, काली वैसी है," and these things stay with you for a long time. Because what would you tell the subconscious of a 8-year-old or a 6-year-old? These things remain with you forever, irrespective of the fact that you might get over them in phases, and then you might success, which I did. My campaigns with Sabyasachi were a huge success. People till date still judge you for the way you look. And like Seema said, it's I think it's some sort of a belief that people have where they categorize both men and women based on appearances. And as long as will still be objectified, we will still have to face this kind of discrimination.
Even though consciously you can wake up in the morning, look at yourself in the mirror and be like, yo, I am an incredible model. Look at my photos, look at the images I've done. I am amazing. But the fact that there's a little voice in your subconscious telling you, no, but you're not, like
Not
that is
you're
something.
not good enough.
Exactly. That is something you personally will have to fight with. But secondly, I think the next generation of Varshitas should never have to fight with that. They should be
I hope
told.
my daughter never has to go through these
Exactly.
issues. I remember the last time I met Seema, and that was the first time. She told me that when she moved to the US, it was such an eye-opening situation for her because she was really embraced there, and she told me about how much she was really valued and loved and celebrated in the US in comparison to living in India. So there is that change, like you said, and we need to see the change everywhere. I feel that I need to, even if I might be speaking on these platforms, but even now, every morning when I wake up, I have to constantly remind myself that I am is love and that it's okay. Even before I go on set, I have to constantly remind myself that it's a battle and I need to fight this. I need to perform well. I cannot be overshadowed just by someone who's thinner and fairer. And it's a constant battle. I need to continuously tell myself that it's okay to be the way I am.
You need to do it, Varshita, so you can be an example to the next generation. What are the things you think are going well within the world, within India, within social media, Netflix, movies, everything? Like, what are the things that are going well, and what is the stuff that you, I, and people like us can do more?
So in the last 5 years and 10 years, I think like the conversation has really shifted, and you can really see people talking about it. You can really see the change in the industry, even though it's like slightly, at a slower pace than we would want, but it is happening. The change is here. And I think people's minds are getting changed for sure. And I've seen that in my life and like in many, many people's lives as well that are around me. Like my family, I have retrained them to not think about getting darker and be proud of their dark skin. I think one of the biggest things that has happened in the last 5-10 years is that we all have social media. Now, with that comes a lot of problems, but the biggest benefit of that is that everyone has a mouthpiece, like even if it's a really small mouthpiece, and even if it's really skewed by the algorithm who gets noticed, but there is a possibility of someone from the grassroots making a point, and then people in their community resonating with that point, which is kind of what happened to me. I started talking about colorism on Instagram, and then just people in my life who had known me for a very long time, they realized what was happening in their life as well, and they could put a name against the problems that they were facing, and that opened a conversation between them and me, and both of us could connect on like all the harassment that we had faced. So I think like those conversations have become possible at a wider scale. Whole society is upgrading in their consciousness, right? They're upgrading in the discussions that they can have, and that's how we improve by talking about history, processing it together, and making better decisions for the future.
Absolutely.
Once we start that chain reaction of like one person just speaking to one person in their family or one person in their peer group, and like coming together on solving this problem, I think that can really spark a revolution in just how we think about dark skin.
Fortunately, I'm very happy that in today's times we have role models to look up to. I grew up in the 90s, and I think so did Seema. So we didn't have a lot of people to look up to, especially in pop culture. Now we have a Beyonce, we've got a Rihanna, and we have you. And there are so many. We have Nidhi Sunil, who's the first Indian model to become the L'Oreal brand ambassador. So I think it's just that everyone's like all of us collectively are coming together and changing this narrative for the better. Because when I see, like, I was about to talk about your brand and I didn't know if I could, because I remember seeing that ad of yours and I thought you were beautiful with your belly, with your postpartum belly and your unfiltered skin. But the minute I saw a dark skinned girl standing next to you smiling, that's when I felt seen. But the minute I saw somebody like me on your brand's logo, and she's there on every product that you sell, I suddenly felt this surge of positive energy that men know when you say that, we have women like you in our campaigns, or when Sabya does all these campaigns with women like me, with dusky, curvy women like me, or even now I see a lot of brands and designers, they've realized that, the more they have only fair, thin skinned European models or women who women who have those Eurocentric beauty standards who look like them, they are actually fading into irrelevance. That's what I see. I think
100%.
inclusivity and diversity is our future. And thank you so much for being a part of this process. And thank you so much, Seema, for today, for all your wonderful insights.
And Varshita, I promise you, I will always continue to do that, because I think, like what Seema said, what you said, uh, I believe in that truth. Like, we all need to be on the right side of history, and people who don't believe in that truth, that all skin tones are beautiful, and it is at the end of the day about equality. Thank you both so much today, for your
Thank you so
time,
much for having us.
for all the beautiful words you guys shared.